All right, 5:30. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. If we can start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do you want to just briefly go over our meeting guidelines and safety protocol? Purpose of this meeting is for the board to conduct board business. The meeting is open to the public and is being recorded. You can listen to all past board meetings by visiting board docs through the district website. And this meeting is being presented via Zoom. It's not appropriate for audience members to interrupt board business or ask questions during the meeting. And agenda items will be addressed as listed in the agenda. And in case of emergency, please exit the room using the exit closest to you. And Director Halverson, would you share our vision and mission for us?
Our vision, our community inspires and prepares each student to thrive. And our mission, in connection with our community, the Sequim School District empowers staff to inspire hope and provide flexible, innovative learning opportunities in a safe and respectful environment so each student thrives.
Thank you. And Director Rocco, would you share our land acknowledgement, please?
Sure, be happy to. We acknowledge the land we stand on. The Sequim School District administrative school buildings sit on the ancestral land of the S'Klallam people. While the S'Klallam traditionally come from one nation, history has led to the formation of three sovereign S'Klallam tribal governments: Lower Elwha S'Klallam tribe, Jamestown S'Klallam tribe, Port Gamble S'Klallam tribe. The district's primary partnership is with the Jamestown S'Klallam tribe. Today, the tribe and the district share a partnership that includes official consultation on programs and funding changes that may directly affect American Indian and Alaska Native students, as well as holistic service planning for students to remain successful in their educational journeys. Great,
thank you. And with that, that's going to bring us to the special presentation portion of the meeting, 2.01. We do have a guest with us today regarding the Regional Classified Employee of the Year. I'd like to welcome Aaron Leavell. And come on up.
Great. Well, thank you so much, President Pickens, Superintendent Nichols. This is truly an honor to be here this evening. As introduced, my name is Aaron Leavell. I'm the Superintendent of Olympic ESD 114. And with me tonight is probably no stranger to you all, but our District 5 Board Director at OESD, Mr. Jim Stuffer. We are here tonight to honor our Olympic ESD Regional Classified Employee of the Year, Miss Carrie Johnson, Resource Para-Educator. And before we get to Carrie, I just want to share that a little bit about our region. Our region here in the Olympic region includes 15 public school districts, 2 tribal compact schools, and 1 public charter school. And OSPI, the Office of the Superintendent for Public Instruction, sponsors this annual recognition and partners with each of the 9 ESDs across our state to assist with the process and with the award presentations. So I'd like to spend just a few minutes sharing the wonderful aspects of Carrie's nominations for this recognition. And I chatted with Carrie and we introduced ourselves before the meeting. And if she doesn't want to come up right now, she's just going to come up at the end potentially, but it's up to her. So a little background about Carrie. She has served as a teacher's aide for an elementary life skills class for 3 years during high school, I understand. She has volunteered in her children's classrooms for 4 years before becoming a permanent employee. And Carrie has served as a resource para for the district since 2017. For community involvement, she is a 4-H leader, facilitating community service projects for youth. She is a child passenger safety technician, is a PTA board member for elementary schools. She's an active member of the middle school PTO. Carrie is also a preschool board member in the community. And her 4-H club received the Community Service Award from the County 4-H Leaders Council last year. You are a very busy, involved community person. Thank you. It's wonderful. Important beliefs that Carrie has in her position is she believes building meaningful relationships with students is crucial. or enhancing learning experiences and fostering a positive school environment, focusing on developing trust, understanding, and mutual respect beyond classroom interactions. And that building these relationships promotes a culture of respect and empathy, enhancing inclusivity among students from diverse backgrounds. Carrie believes getting to know students personally helps identify their unique strengths, challenges, and learning styles for tailored support, and that strong relationships create a sense of belonging, encouraging student engagement and motivation to achieve their goals. She also strongly believes in engaging parents and guardians in the relationship building process to provide holistic support aligned with students' needs and goals. Several themes emerged in describing Carrie. One of those was job satisfaction, that she's very passionate about daily work as a paraeducator, focusing on one-on-one support for student success. Another one is handling challenges. She successfully managed a student's difficult behavior, maintaining firm boundaries while fostering many positive days. A behavior chart. So she's created a daily behavior chart to track successes and challenges, facilitating communication with parents. Parental appreciation. Parents express gratitude for the consistent communication regarding their child's behavior. A community role, as you heard some things earlier. She serves as a child passenger safety technician, enhancing vehicle safety for children and families. Diverse support. She assists both general education and special education students in her dual roles as a paraeducator and safety technician. She's trained to assist families with special needs in safe travel practices. And the last theme was lifelong learning. Carrie is currently completing an elementary education and special education teacher certification, and graduation is scheduled for July of 2026. So wow, you're doing all of that with all the other things. Congrats and thank you. So I will just close with this. A few things that some of Carrie's colleagues had to say about her is that she is a very hard worker who is passionate about her role. She goes above and beyond to foster relationships with all students, creating that welcoming environment. Carrie effectively supports not only her individual caseload, but all children in the classroom. She's consistently exceeds her duties as a paraeducator. She promotes inclusivity within the school community, enhancing relationships among students. And Ms. Johnson is conscientious. She excels in her duties and provides valuable assistance to administrators, teachers, students, and parents. She is a jewel in our district and an extraordinary employee. So for these reasons and many, many more, as you can imagine, we are honored to present this award and to Ms. Carrie Johnson, our Classified Employee of the Year. You had your speech prepared and all that. And just thank you, board, for allowing us to do this. These are very special recognitions. There's only one classified and one certificated employee of the year in each region. So 9 in each category across the state. So when you think about it that way, massive kudos to you and the work that you do for our children. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much and congratulations. And on behalf of the board, thank you very much for the work you're doing, Carrie. We so appreciate it. So.
Anything else?
Well, I would just thank the ESD for supporting this type of action, because employees like Carrie do deserve this level of admiration. And thank you so much for being an inspiration to so many other people, because it just takes one person to watch an action like you, and it makes us all think, boy, we could do it too. And thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aaron, for coming. Appreciate that.
All right. And that's going to bring us to our approval of the minutes as well as the approval of our agenda and consent agenda. Is there any objection to the approval of our minutes, agenda, and consent agenda as presented? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and consider those approved.
I make one quick comment, thanking the people for the donations. We had one for Level the Playing Field from SQUIM Association of Realtors, which helps all kids get involved in activities of all kinds where cost might be a barrier. The Bears, excuse me, donate some money for the wrestling team. And because I'm a retired former cross-country coach, I'd like to thank Domino's and the parent group that raised money for the cross-country team. Those donations are really important. So I just wanted to voice my appreciation for those donations.
Thank you. All right, that's going to bring us to the public comment portion of the meeting. And our board has adopted policy and procedure 1400 and 1400P for meeting conduct, order of business, and quorum. This policy and procedures, they're available on the school district website. And by adopting this policy, the board meetings must be conducted in a civil, orderly, and business-like manner. That means whether we are school directors, district staff, students, or members of the community, or some other guests, we all must follow the same standard of civility during school board meetings. And generally, first item of business at every meeting is the public comment period, which is something we value. And this is an opportunity for visitors to be recognized, to make brief comments. We do have the sign-in sheet for those who wish to speak, for those who are present here in person. And there is also an opportunity to make public comment if you are attending via Zoom as well. What you'll just need to do is utilize the raise hand function via Zoom, and for us to call on you. And the total time for public comment period is 30 minutes, and each speaker has a maximum of 3 minutes. And we will have a timer up, but also to assist if there's anybody in person, Lauren will hold up the red card when you have about 30 seconds left, and we just want to make sure that we're respectful of other folks that want to utilize the time, because again, the total time is 30 minutes. Do want to stress that public comment period is not a time for dialogue between the board and the public. The board will not respond to statements, questions, or challenges made during public comment period, and there's no back and forth dialogue. But please know that the board's silence is neutral. It is neither a signal of agreement nor disagreement with the speaker's remarks. And although the board will not engage in dialogue, the board chair may ask a speaker a clarifying question, and it's also possible that school district staff will contact a speaker at a later time to follow up on an issue raised during public comment period. Finally, please remember that your words have impact, and you, not the school district, are responsible for your words. We caution all speakers that it is possible that your statements could violate the rights of others under various laws, including laws protecting privacy and laws prohibiting defamation. If you are unsure the legal effect of your remarks, you should seek independent legal advice. In any case, we ask you to help us model for our students what respectful and inclusive community looks and sounds like. And in the interest of time, order, and respect of others, it's not appropriate that for complaints or charges about employees to be mentioned during public comment. These issues are to be addressed to the superintendent. And with that, we will go ahead and again, if you're here online, you'll go ahead and use the raise hand function for if you would like to make public comment. And we are going to start. Okay. You're going to start with, looks like Jen Frame.
My name is Jen Frame, and I am a member of this community and also been a volunteer within the swim school district for the last 12 years, helping with the swim teams and with the wrestling teams. I'm here to say that I'm appalled at the conduct, or should I say lack of conduct, of the Sequim School Board and the Sequim School District regarding pedophiles and of staff and the bullying of our children. The Sequim School Board needs to do something about the known pedophiles currently working within our school district and acknowledge the kids who have been hurt. No trust, no bond.
Next, we have on Zoom, Sheena Younger.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Sheena Younger, and I'm a former parent of 2 graduates of Sequim schools. They were both subjects of bullying and sexual harassment by teachers. First, I want to encourage the school board to look into freedom of speech and your policies and Eric's speech just now, because according to case law, your own policy on not speaking on teachers is impeding on the First Amendment rights of your constituents. My comment tonight is to the school board. Who do you work for? Because from my standpoint and all the dealings I've had to go through, you're reporting to your attorney. I need to remind you that you work for those who voted for you. You work for your constituents. Today in the news, it was announced that parents in the Monroe School District are suing because the school district has stood silent and not responded to the complaints of racism. Myself and many other students over the years have complained about the sexual misconduct of teachers. I have sent you numerous messages from students, especially those students from the class of 2017 and those of a staff member who has multiple complaints filed, and yet you sit there silent. These are kids and adults now that you know these kids have been hurt, and you ignore it like it's going to go away. It's not going to go away. It appears that all you care about, and any school board of this district has cared about, is a bond. So I feel the only way parents in this community can get you to hear them is to vote no. Why do you think a bond hasn't passed since '96? When I sat in Citizens for Sequim Schools for 4 years and would go door to door, the response would be, until you fix your inside, we're not voting for the outside. I never understood that until my youngest entered high school. And now that my oldest has grown, understand she was hurt in high school too. Teachers assaulting, bullying, sexually harassing, sending nude photos, and having sex with kids, and you all stay silent. It's deafening. Well, I can tell you we won't stay silent, and our attorney won't either. You apparently only care about risk, right? So let's discuss risk. You do nothing and face a class action. And yes, I'm saying that publicly on record. You could fire one person and may face a lawsuit from them. However, you have countless people to back up the reasoning for your firing. So please tell me why you would rather stay silent and face a class action. How do you expect the community to fork out over $120 million when the district has paid out almost $3 million to 3 individuals within the last 6 years, plus numerous other settlements without disclosure of payouts? Having a board of directors that continues to sign off on large settlements to ignore and silence the actual issues will not be ignored by the taxpayer and voters. And it's harming students and their right to education. It's time to stand up and do what we elected you to do to keep our kids safe. Do your job. Finally, to the community of Sequim, thank you for all your positive support on social media. And to the kids and now adults who have come forward, thank you for being brave. The evidence is all there that our school board is not listening nor taking proper action. No trust, no bond.
All right. And I do not believe we have anybody else signed up for public comment. So that will go ahead and conclude the public comment portion of the meeting.
There's another hand raised.
Oh. Let's see. Well, I've already said that I've closed public comment, but with any objection to allow, okay, we'll go ahead and, Emily, Strowling. Sorry about that. Didn't see the, hand pop at the last second, Emily.
Hi, I am a former graduate of Sequim High School, 2017 to be exact. And now that I have become an adult and have gone through some therapy, I realized that a lot of what happened was absolutely not okay. And it has become blatantly apparent to me that all of you adults are actively choosing to protect your paycheck and the school's risk, which, by the way, is ridiculous because the risk is going to be massive with that class action lawsuit. But coming to terms with the fact that I myself have been harmed by that pedophile in particular, but other teachers, and watching my sister lose her entire high school experience because of adults and then watching the school board cover for those adults. It's disgusting, it's gross, and it's embarrassing. And I hope every single one of you goes home tonight and thinks about that.
And with that, I also just want to put out a reminder to anybody listening that folks can contact our superintendent directly regarding any complaints. Always would want them to contact the superintendent regarding any known complaints. Superintendent Nichols can be reached at 360-582-3263 or rnichols@squimschools.org about any concerns that get brought forth. We would want to make sure that they go through those proper channels as always. Anything you would add on that, Superintendent Nichols?
We certainly have complaint procedures and policy that we follow here in Sequim School District, and so that is available online as well. We also have a human resources department, we have school principals, and we do have counselors available at all schools. So we want everybody to be turning to the resources that would be best for them.
All right, thank you. All right, with that, we're going to go to our student board representatives for their report. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all well. To start off, some events we'll be having at the high school are the high school fall choir concert, which is actually today at 7. The high school is also hosting a blood drive this Thursday. The PSATs are this Friday in the library, and the SATs are next Tuesday, also in the library. We will also be having the haunted hallways this Saturday from 1 to 3. There will be a variety of activities such as face painting with the Sequim High School cheerleaders, a cakewalk, coloring, crafts, and more. We hope that you will all come and support the students of Sequim High School. Sequim High School seniors also had their National Achiever Assembly today in the auditorium, where we discussed cap and gown requirements, which was very helpful. Finally, students are excited to be having a 5-day weekend with conferences coming up. Conferences are the 30th and the 31st. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. Since Ari and I were here last, there's quite a few things to happen from then to now. We had our homecoming since then. That brought in about $7,000 for our school ASB fund. Our leadership classroom has been very excited to have a space, which is Miss Hall's old room since she has retired. We had some new clubs approved recently: NASA Club, Career Connections Club, and Environmental Club. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Next, we're going to reports to the board. We have starting off with 8.01 PLC Institute presentation.
Well, good evening, and it's very exciting tonight to have a team who is going to present to you on the district's initiative of professional learning communities. We have been working on professional learning communities formally now into the second year, but we were fortunate enough to receive the support through grants to send a team to the PLC Institute. So PLCs are all about collaboration, and this presentation was collaborative. We had a planning team, a PowerPoint development team, and now a presentation team. So I thank all of the participants and for all of you here tonight. And they're going to take it away to let you know all there is to know about PLCs and Sequim School District.
All right.
Thank you. My name is Mary Beth Stewart. I teach 4th grade at Haller.
I'm Craig Brooks, and I'm teaching math at the Sequim Middle School.
My name is Dr. Casey Lanning. I'm the assistant principal at Haller Elementary.
Doreen Minard. I teach 2nd grade at Grey Wolf.
Hello, I'm Sarah Lynn Pozernick, and I teach at the high school.
And I am Kirsten Grove, and I teach 6th grade math at the middle school.
Donna Hudson, teaching and learning here at the district.
We are we are thankful that we had the opportunity to go to the PLC at Work conference. At the conference, we were able to learn from experts in the field of professional learning communities. The presenters that we took classes from and we learned from, they've lived through every part of the process and as educators, and they wrote the books that we have all kind of taken and that we're going to use as our guides and as our guide in the upcoming years of our PLC work here in SWIM.
Yeah, and I would just say a big thank you to the district for sending such a large group and a good group to work with and develop and learn about the PLCs. And you can see the pictures of the team that presented there and all have a lot of knowledge and depth on the subject. And then yeah, go ahead and go to the next slide there. And then this is just a snapshot of all the people that are involved in making this presentation, but also such a good group to continue to do the work that we learned from. And so it was huge to have Regan, the superintendent there, along with many building principals and teachers from all across the district, as well as the district office. So I thought it was a really great group, and the value is always, it's going to continue to pay out in terms of as we develop this work and continue to work, students are going to see benefits year after year for the investment that was made for this time. So I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're thankful just to have the opportunity to spend time with each other. We get to kind of know each other on a personal level, and then that develops as we work together. And we, as all of us share students across the levels, we're able to kind of trust each other and to be able to focus on our goals as a district moving forward in the PLC process. And just having that time. And we see, like Craig said, just how we have our own expert in wisdom here. I mean, these people are pretty awesome and great, and we don't say so ourselves. And it's just nice to have that time together. Next slide, please.
And then so the PLC, and you can read the quotes there, but there's before there and talking about a never-ending process in which educators commit to working together to ensure higher levels of learning for every student. And so it's this continual cycle of learning and relearning and gathering data. And the opening slide there had the circuit board there with all the cables connected, because it's data informed practice, and we're looking to gather data, use data, and move forward and adjust. And the whole goal of all of it is just to better the education for the students. And so so it's really cool across the whole board, across the district, to see that we have that goal in mind, and we're aligned and able to just kind of learn together as a group to do that. And so
something that stuck with me is that teacher teams are the engine that drives the process. We have asked, I think teachers all throughout the nation have asked administrators and school boards more collaboration time. And this allows us to have that, and to in the PLC process, teams work together to determine the most essential standards. We teach those standards, and then we assess if the students have learned it. And then we look to see if do students need reteaching, or do we need to extend? Something that else stuck out to me is that this process levels the playing field for it allows equal access to learning for all students. And something that we were told over and over, not told, but of course we believe it, is that all means all. We're not talking about just those that master the standards. We're talking about every single student, which is essential for us. Next slide.
And I think actually, before we go to the next slide, I think that the beginning of that first part where it says it empowers the staff, I feel like the district has done that in just not only training us to do it, but then as we've come back and having time to work in the PLCs and do the work that is leveling the playing field for everybody. Empowers is the key word that has been done, or I feel like we're on the right track there and you know, do that. So the next slide there. And so the three big ideas behind the PLC is that the focus is 100% about their learning and the learning of students. And so we ask the four main questions, which we'll get to in a minute. And then it's a collaborative culture of the teachers working together as we share students at different levels, whether it's elementary, middle school, or high school. We're talking about the different students that do what works best and what doesn't, and sharing and learning from each other. And so the PLC is that learning community that continues to grow, and teachers continue to improve daily, weekly, or every time we meet. We're talking different strategies and different things that will be more effective to to help all students learn.
As we are in our first year of implementation in SQUIM, the first year I'm happy to see that we have started the process. The first year implementation, the expert said that there are non-negotiables that have to happen. Those are, number one is to carve out time for collaborative teams. I'm happy to say that the district has done that. Most every single Monday, we are working in grade level teams or department level teams, not just grade level. I'm elementary, so I'm in that mindset. So that time is carved up. That's number one. The second thing is to identify the essential standards, the team creates common assessments and to figure out what worked with those assessments so that we can intervene and extend. The last three, the identifying the essential standards, the assessments, and intervening and extending, it's a work in process that we're continuing to work on. But I believe that we're right on track with those non-negotiables that are going to drive our PLCs forward.
And then a couple quotes here that that kind of speak to just the need for the PLC and the good work that it does. Schools should be built so that the students of our community can learn the skills they need. And so it's all designed with a focus about what the students need and what we're doing around that to meet those needs. The average child spends 40% of their life in school between ages 5 and 18. So if you think about the amount of time that we have these students here and what we're able to do and help them learn and grow and develop, it really is speaks to the importance of us as educators continuing to meet, continuing to collaborate, and continuing to improve our practices because of the significance and the impact it has on the students that we see.
Yeah, and when we teach students how to drive their own learning, they truly become learners for their own life. Next slide. So at the Institute, we were given the opportunity to go to different breakout sessions. There were several of them, and we were able to kind of choose what spoke to us. And this is an example out here of listed on the slide of designing a unit plan, where we learned how to unwrap standards and even use AI to kind of help us unwrap those standards to be able to develop common formative assessments. And one of the other sessions that I went to that I really enjoyed was called the 15-day challenge. And it was about grade level teams planning one unit together. So whereas you're not thinking about the entire year and planning the whole year, which can get very overwhelming, you just focus on just 15 days. So you get those short little wins, and you win quickly, you win big, and you win often, and you're able to go on to the next unit.
Yeah, and so those are a couple of snapshots of what was done, but there are many different breakout sessions that really had a wide variety of things that are going to be helpful moving forward and helpful to continue to implement in the classroom. And so listening to those presenters and being able to talk with them, being able to sit down and meet with them as groups within our schools, the middle school, the high school, and elementary schools met as groups, and then as a district as well, we sat and we were able to ask questions one-on-one with some of the presenters and just tap into their just depth of knowledge, which is really awesome to be able to have a resource like that at our fingertips and continue to be able to communicate with them as we move through this PLC process. So, so that was awesome there too. Next slide. And then as an example of some things that we learned, this where.
Yeah, these are the 4 critical questions of PLC at work. So really, when we are focusing on our PLCs, this is what it's all about. What do we want our students to know and be able to do? That's when we focus on the essential standards. We have so many standards that we have to teach for each grade level, and really together deciding what are the most important ones. And then how do we know if each student has learned it? And then how are we going to respond? Intervening is what we what we have to do and essential to the whole process. How will we respond when some students do not learn it, and then extending the learning for those that do get it?
And I can speak to the progress that we've already been making this year on that, at least at the middle school in my experience, and keeping those questions at the forefront of what we're doing. And going through it, and all four of them being critical, and the intervention for students that aren't getting it, as well as the extension for those that are, and what we're doing to continue to deepen the understanding that students have. And always coming back to those questions and making sure that's driving everything that we're doing, whether that's lesson planning for individual lessons or collaboration as a team, or looking at assessment and reviewing assessments as a math department at the middle school. It's been really awesome to see that and having a direct impact on the students, and because then we're focused on what's going to make them better and what's going to help them kind of understand on a deeper level. So those four critical questions are, I think, key.
And looking at our shared district goal of educators work collaboratively in recurring cycles of collective inquiry and action research to achieve better results for the students they serve. So really having those shared goals and being mutually accountable in teams. Next slide, please. We will have our different schools share what's going on in their districts or in their schools.
We're gonna arm wrestle now for first dibs. You go ahead, because you're with the high school. That makes sense.
Okay, I guess we're gonna go down in age. So at the high school, this has been a big shift for us. This idea of building intervention into your school day is kind of a challenge when you have your kids changing class periods. None of them have the same schedule. And I think the same at the middle school. We know this has been happening in our elementary buildings, you know, on grade levels before. But what we have done that we're starting, and it's a process, we're learning as we go, but we have put in an intervention or extended learning schedule on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we have a 35-minute period of time every Tuesday and every Thursday where teachers are able to request students into their classrooms. Students have some choice if they feel like they are struggling, but the idea is that we are focusing on those essential learning targets or standards. And we are either pre-teaching, reteaching, extending the learning in that intervention time for our students. I found that we are being more intentional. So I work with my department, the social studies department, and we have been discussing and norming what does it look like to write in the discipline of history for a sophomore, and what is the level we expect all sophomores to get to. What do we expect our juniors to get to? What do we expect our seniors to get to? And what will the progression be? So I know just for myself, it's been a good change, and we'll keep building it and make it better.
At the middle school, as Craig started to also kind of present to and talk to, we also brought in the extended learning time, which is that time carved out in our school days. And we have it actually one additional day from what the high school does. So we have it on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, where we have a half an hour each day, where we can, just as they are doing at the high school, pull in intentional groups of students to work with. And it really goes back to those four questions of how are we extending, how are we ensuring that they're learning. But we've had both times where we can work with students to help them when they haven't yet learned it, to provide that extra instruction and a little bit more individualized, because we can hone in on one specific aspect of what we've been teaching. But then we also have other classrooms where they're doing extending to the learning, including opportunities for the students themselves to kind of work through a project that they have self-selected. So as we kind of got our school year rolling, it was presented to each of our groups of students, like, what are the things that you are curious about? What would you like to investigate further? What are, from within the school subjects that you're learning, or even beyond, what is it that you're interested in spending that time kind of investigating, so that they can also be guided in that if they don't have that specific call, like, if they're not being called to Mrs. Grove's room and are in more of like a study hall setup, they have that time to then kind of delve into where their own passions lead them. And so we have that. So I think that's a really great way to help to extend the students' learnings. We have also been far more intentional with our Monday PLC times, where we are spending more time within our departments and working with those teams. And that team really being that we're working collaboratively and kind of, working through ideas together, really helping to ensure that our students are testing with the same tests when we're working with, what are the essential standards that we're striving to meet, even if we have different teachers that are teaching the same grade or same course, that we're still following that same. Here, I'm gonna hit the. I'm a hand talker. Sorry. But we're still teaching in that same sort of way. So that's been really good. And it was great to go to this conference and just to see the passion and the genuine heart that came from each of our presenters to say, and then to reflect on that and say, okay, how can we bring that back and help to feed that to our students as well? So anyway, we've been making some great strides at the middle school, and it's exciting to see where this will be headed. To the next slide, please.
That's me. Okay. So Mary Beth, you want to join me? Hi. So I'm gonna have you start and then I'll fill things in.
All right. So each at third, fourth, and fifth grade, we had started to unpack our standards. Well, first we started to determine, we took all our standards that we have in each grade level and which are like the 5 to 10 most important that we are going to focus on. It's not that we're going to not teach the other ones, but what I liked that they pulled at what they said at the conference was what was the boulders? Rocks and butterflies. Thank you. Boulders, rocks, and butterflies. So it's not that you won't teach those butterflies. Those are kind of like the nice to know standards. You still will teach those, but really focus. You have to know the boulders. Boulders are bigger than rocks. Okay. Got it. So you really have to really teach those boulders and then unpack it. And what I love about it is, as a fourth grade teacher, I know when you're unpacking those standards, I know what is the standard that's related in third grade that I have to know that they have before I teach in fourth grade, and then where are they going in fifth grade. So it's neat to have that that progression. And now we kind of are in the unit planning stage right now. Like for us in fourth grade, we're teaching middle ages right now, and we are determining which of those boulders, those main essential standards, fit within the middle ages unit.
Yeah. So for fifth grade, they, in addition to all those things, they have been really trying to figure out, how can we really get these kids ready for middle school and remediate in a way that is going to be timely, but also remediate in a way that's not going to require them to reinvent the wheel. So when we went to the conference, they heard about this walk to read model, which everyone in SQUIM has used some kind of walk to read model. Grey Wolf used something like that. Howler had something called What I Need Time, Win Time. But the walk to read model was a different format model than what others were aware of, because what it does is it remediates at the skill level. So you can have students that are in the same skill level but different grade levels. And so that was one that they heard about, where you had a fifth grader working in a third grade group because that's where they were. And then because they were in a lower group, they were being used in a way where they could actually show a mastery with those third graders of things that they wouldn't be able to do as a fifth grade. I don't know if that makes sense. But fifth grade is really interested in this. And so they've been doing a lot of planning around that. And our hope is to have that next semester go live. So that's just what we've been doing at Howler. The buzz in the air with PLCs is pretty exciting. Everyone is really all in, and I'm just really looking forward to where we go with it. We'll go to the next slide.
Bringing us down, short people problems. Hello. Okay, at Gray Wolf, so as the K2 school, right, our focus is putting a real intense focus on literacy, right, those foundational reading skills, and focusing on intervention there. And so our kindergarten team, during their PLT, they've been looking at last year's end of year data that they have, because as kidders, they don't have really anything else to go off of right now. And they have been making adjustments to their reading instruction based off of that data, to include things like encoding, which is spelling, essentially, and hoping that that will help the kids when they're blending and segmenting words. The first grade and second grade team, both administered phonics screeners to their students who were at red or yellow, was below grade level, and then well below grade level, on our Acadians test. And we used that data to form our WIN groups, what Casey mentioned, the What I Need groups. And so that has started. We're entering our second cycle now, to work on getting students to mastery with letter names, letter sounds, and blending just CVC words and short words with blends. Second grade, in addition to the reading intervention groups, the second grade team did a deep dive into their writing standards and is beginning the planning of informational writing, like an informational writing unit that we're building together. We're working on building our CFAs and our end of the unit assessment. What's really exciting, and this came up new this morning, we started building a rubric to use for those writings, not just for the teachers, but also a student self-evaluation rubric that they can use for each of the writing samples that we use. So that's where we're at.
And at Olympic Peninsula Academy, the thing that they were most excited about is the opportunity to go is to understand how they fit in the big system. So the conversation I had with Sarah Benjamin was that it was exciting. They've always known the how, they weren't sure of the why. So now they have the big picture why of the district, and then they appreciate being able to carry this out in a way that works for their building. So because most grade levels are single section, they don't necessarily have a team, a professional learning team. So they've gotten some goals that they're doing K-12. Their K-2s, they'll be working on sentence structure, 3-5 paragraphs, 6-8 multiple paragraph, and then the high school, they're working on 5 to 6 paragraph papers. So they're doing it both vertically and laterally. She also wanted me to mention that they also are a little different in that ALE, part of their professional learning team is their families. And so they're really working hard to integrate, as Mary Beth was talking about, those essential standards, meeting with their families and their parents to make sure that that is the team they're working on, that those essential standards for each grade level are taught for the kids in each of their grade levels. So she was very excited. Sorry she could not be here tonight, but they're thankful for the opportunity and they're enjoying the process of professional learning communities at OPA.
Okay, so the administrator's perspective is definitely multivaried in that we each serve different grade bands, but in general, one of the things that is just really exciting about our administrative team is we've been talking about getting PD in the hands of teachers, helping teachers for well before I was an administrator. And to see that it's happening, to see that it's come not only to fruition, but it's actually taking fruit and, you know, gaining roots now is just so exciting. We continually have asked, you know, for the district and for you, the school board, to support us in protecting that team time. And so we have looked at our master schedules. The district has looked at the full schedule, and we've been able to do that as much as possible. So that feels great. And then the other piece to this is we have been able to receive expertise from Cheyenne, from other people in Solution Tree that were at the conference around these things that are district specific that frankly, we weren't sure what the answers were. So one of these was singletons and how to do PLCs within singletons. Another was interventions and how to get that going district wide, not just in the primary or the elementary, but in the secondary. And then the third was this idea of CFAs. How do we get CFAs working? So I feel like we have these keys and we're able to unlock these doors. I think that what I have sensed around our administrative conversations is that we're looking to be more alike than different. And so becoming more common in our language, but also common in our structures is something that we've been really working towards, with the understanding that we also are serving different grade bands. So it's been great. You know, it's the conference was wonderful. We were able to, you know, sit and have continuous opportunities for conversation with staff. And that continued into dinner, or that continued into breakfast the next morning. So it was neat to just see the entire flow. So thank you for allowing us to do that. Next slide.
Did you have something else? Sorry. Please.
Take us in for a break.
Oh, you wanted to bring us home? Do it to it. I gotta find mine. So looking forward to what we somewhere there. Okay. That we want to see just continue dedicated time for us to continue to work on the PLCs, continue to have that support from the solution tree and Cheyenne come in and give us additional support as needed. And the last bullet, just the more training. I think allowing to have other teachers besides ourselves to go to these conferences and to be able to experience it for themselves is crucial. You know, like in the elementary, we have teams of 7 to 9 teachers getting together, and to be able to get kind of 9 people on the same page can be a little bit difficult sometimes. It's a work in progress. I have full faith that we're going to get there, and I believe in this process. But if we are able to have more teachers go to these conferences and drink the Kool-Aid like we have, I think that we could all be on the same page, and I think that would be super helpful to our district.
Yes, I would echo that, and the bullets there as far as what the future looks like for this process. But I also want to extend a thank you. I know that before I get to the next slide is thank yous, but thank you to the school board for allowing this to happen. Thank you for Regan for championing this process, because I feel like what we've done is set up a process for the whole district, as far as all the schools in the district, to have this professional learning community. And it's a process that's going to continue to grow, continue to build and improve. And so it's the framework that's in place, and there's an excitement to it. And I think we're going in just an awesome direction with how we are building up our teachers and empowering our teachers so that they can be better teachers for the students and student learning. And I think every presenter at the conference, they either started with in their opening or finished with some data and research about how doing the PLC process correctly has by far the largest impact on student achievement. Rather than trying to implement any other systems, any other trainings or anything like that, the one thing that's going to help the students grow and learn more is this PLC process and doing it right. And so I think we've got our money in the right place, and I think our direction is great. And I'm excited to see how it continues to grow and develop as more teachers get trained and as this process spreads throughout the district schools. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any questions at all?
I was just going to say, I love the word intentionality. I think that's so key to what you've discovered with this. And the other thing that I noted was having solution tree available to you, because I've been to enough conferences where I go and I get all the euphoria of the conference. And then you go home and you're in your own context and you go, you know, how do we do this? What are our questions now? And to have that follow-up is so key to the success of PLCs.
Yeah, and I think another thing that was important to the conference is having our, not only our administrators there, but our superintendent there to be able to, for us to all hear the same message. And we were able to have a breakout session where it was just us in a room, and we were able to have one of the presenters there. And so we were able to say, you know, just to say things like, see, this is what we need. And Regan was able to sit and hear what we heard and say, okay, this is really what you need. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this happen. Just to be able to have those conversations was just, was huge.
Yeah.
Great.
Great.
Director Jeffries?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. The first one, I'm asking for a friend. What's a CFA?
Common formative assessment.
Right, because we love to use
Yeah.
Yes.
acronyms. or-
Yeah.
So my friend thanks you.
I was with you the whole way.
Do you see yet impact on other areas? I mean, student achievement obviously is what we're all about, but behavior, attendance, family involvement, teacher efficacy. I think I heard some of that, how the teachers are really buying into this. But other improvements.
So I'll answer what I've experienced. I think, you know, the word intentionality has been helpful. So as we work with our teacher teams, right, we are working with more intention with the focus on student learning. So we are having conversations that really have fallen to the wayside over the past few years. And I do see I see an improvement, at least within our teams, right? We are buying into what we are doing together, and we are making sure that we're progressing through, right? And that does give teachers more efficacy in what they do. It gives us more purpose, right? And hopefully the end result is our students will experience more cohesion as they move through our system. So I've seen that.
You asked about how it might affect behavior. Behavior and academics are so closely correlated. And so as we, fill those holes and those gaps, reaching those kids where they need, that behavior, I believe, will improve. And we're going to start seeing some of that. And it also, to speak on like the teacher piece of it, having, like Mary Beth said, 7 to 9 teachers come together, and everyone has their own way of doing things, and everyone is set in their ways. And last year, with it being kind of new, there wasn't a lot of time for conversation. I went last year with not even knowing some of the staff names at Haller, because there were just so many new people and there was no time to talk. And so just the time for our team to meet and talk, I think, has built trust amongst the new members coming in. And I think that alone is going to be beneficial for kids, because with our WIN groups and like the elementary, we share kids, and we have to be able to talk about those kids and have those conversations.
Thank you.
It's not your kids and my kids, it's
Our kids.
Yeah, very good, very good.
And to add an example from my friend that I was talking to at the middle school level, the conversation revolving around those 4 questions and like really with behavior, the old conversation was, okay, so and so didn't get it because he was throwing his pencils again, or talking to the person next to him, and we got to make sure we address that behavior, and what can we do to address the behavior. And that was kind of our old conversations, but now it's simply, okay, he didn't get it, so what are we going to do to make sure he understands it? So even that focus on the academics there, providing a way, okay, here's the intervention planning. So an ELT, we're going to call in, and there's a group of kids, so there's 7 or 8 that we can call that, whether they're in my math 8 or somebody else's math 8, we're going to put them in the same room. We're going to go over whatever they need. And then all of a sudden he's tracking and on track and understanding what's going on in the classroom. So the behavior almost goes away, or oftentimes does go away, in terms of, because now he's not acting out because he doesn't get it. He's got the support that he needs to get it. And so he's right on track moving forward. So that's just an awesome way that it's going.
That's great.
Yeah.
Can I share one more thing? So from an administrator lens with that question, one of the things that I just came to my mind, we have teachers that will start, at various levels. They'll either start brand new, or they will start a new grade level, or they will go from, contained where they're just teaching one class of students to working with 2 different classes. And these transitions really can be hard when working with efficacy and trying to build one's capacity to teach and then to also manage behaviors. And one of the things that I've seen is that we have some situations like that. And what I have seen is that because of the PLC process, and I don't think it's just because of the PLC process, but certainly the PLC process has helped. This particular teacher is thriving because the team has come alongside that teacher and has been given the time to help them. And it's targeted help, it's help every week. And then on the other side, that teacher has been able to share their strengths a lot faster than they would if they were not in this situation. So I do think it is changing not only the student culture, I think it's definitely changing the professional culture as well.
Anything else? All right. Thank you very much. Gotta get a picture. Yeah.
So as they're having their photo, I'm just going to share that we're talking about students learning, but in the PLC process and through this institute, we've had to become the learners too. We were the students. And I just want to say a sincere thank you to the whole team that went, because they were students in the summer. So everyone made the choice. Everyone said, yes, I'll do that. And it was fantastic. And I hope you see the fruits of it through this presentation. Just such appreciation for all of that dedication to it. Great.
Great, fantastic. All right. It's gonna bring us to our finance and enrollment report.
Thank you, President Pickens. I was so eager. I just helped myself to the podium.
It's almost like you had an agenda.
Almost like I knew it was coming next. Good evening, Director Superintendent Nichols. I am presenting to you this evening the September budget status report. Oh, that's okay. Great. Okay. I'm going to take a minute to read this slide. I typically skim over it, but as this kind of is our first budget status report for the year, I thought I'd read a little bit to you. Fiscal health is crucial for a school district as it directly impacts its ability to provide quality education and support. A strong financial foundation ensures the district can attract skilled teachers, maintain facilities, and offer essential programs. Proper financial management allows for the purchase of up-to-date educational materials and technology, fostering a conducive learning environment. Fiscal stability also helps the district manage economic uncertainties and unforeseen expenses without compromising its mission. A financially healthy district can effectively plan for the future, invest in student success, and build trust with parents, staff, and the community, ensuring every student has the opportunity to thrive. So, enrollment is the driving force behind our funding. Enrollment dictates what we receive on our apportionment reports, and that is where most of our funding comes from. This is a 10-year chart. I'm going to tell you for the first time among many times tonight that the September report is very preliminary in many ways. The data is just now rolling in, so to speak. So this is our 10-year enrollment comparison report. This shows you a 3-year comparison, September to September. It doesn't look very exciting. It looks pretty steady, which is not a bad thing. This slide I find interesting. It shows us where we're at compared to where we budgeted. The red dots, we are coming in below what we budgeted. The green dots, we're coming in above where we budgeted. For instance, we have 19 fewer kindergartners than we expected, but we have 10 more fifth graders than we expected, 22 more ninth graders than we expected, 18 fewer 11th graders. So I like this chart. It gives us a little bit of a pulse on what's happening and a little bit of a deeper dive in enrollment. Again, these are September numbers.
I have a quick, I'm colorblind. I can't tell the difference between red and green.
Oh dear.
So,
Okay.
the dots, I can't figure out. But is it the light color is the enrollment budget and the dark line, the actual, is that right?
The
what?
dark line is the actual.
Okay.
Yes.
That helps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
They're all green except kindergarten and 11th grade.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
they're all over except kindergarten. And 11th
Yes.
grade.
Okay. Thank you.
And there's not a lot of differences. There's a couple of them where we're several more kids than expected, and a couple, well, the two where we have less kids expected. Is there a rationale behind rationale?
A reason.
Demographically, do we have good ideas of why that is, or it just is?
Well, let's go ahead and talk about kindergarten. Kindergarten right now on the peninsula, for instance, even over in Port Angeles, the kindergarten class did not come to the degree that was predicted. We are the same. So we're looking at that cohort of students and determining, are the students even out there to be coming? Are they making different choices than public school? But I think when you start to see that as a regional effect, it's probably the level of kindergartners available to come. The 11th grade, we are looking at that because that was what we call a roll-up number. We took the sophomore class and rolled it up and anticipated that we'd have the return. So it being down by 18 is something that's interesting to us, and we want to make sure we can track where the students might have gone instead.
Thank you.
Overall, in September, we are over our budgeted amount. We'd like to keep it that way. Now we'll move into our 5 funds, and you may not remember this, but my predecessor, Darlene Applin, when she presents the September report, she says these are preliminary numbers pending year end. So that's the spot we're in right now. We are still closing 23-24. It will, next month in November, I will be bringing you a year-end report as well as an October budget status report. So the numbers we see then will be more meaningful than the numbers we see tonight. But tonight is a snapshot of a point in time that we're going to share with you. Our general fund is resources from local, county, state, and federal sources. These revenues are generally used for financing the operations of the school district, such as the classroom support, special education, food services, maintenance, and transportation. This is a snapshot of our 3-year revenue trend, September to September. When I look at this chart, there isn't a lot that really grabs me. You'll see under federal grants, we still have grants to be claimed. So under September 2024, there's nothing showing there. That will impact our total revenue. Next month, we'll see that a little bit more clearly. This is our 3-year expenditure trend. I think you'll notice we're up quite a bit in supplies and materials. When I was looking into this, we've spent some significant amounts of money beefing up our CTE program. We are doing our best to maybe front load some of these expenditures that we hadn't in years gone by. This is our expenditure detail. It's pretty much what we would expect this time of year as far as percent expended. And here is our financial summary. It shows a fund balance of $886,588.90, which looks like this on a graph. Again, we will know more next month if this is something we need to be concerned about, or if this is a product of the time of the year that we are in. This is a comparison of September to September over the past 3 years. And as a percent, our fund balance sits at 2% right now.
So before you go on, I want to talk about fund balance for a moment. Remember, fund balance is determined in August as a year-end figure. So what we're seeing for September is removing September's payroll payout that would not be part of the year-end fund balance. So as we move through the year, we're managing cash flow. How are we able to pay all of our expenditures based on the revenues that are coming in and landing? Do we have enough of a buffer to make those expenditures? So that's what we'll be tracking closely and aiming, of course, for the year-end 4 to 6% requirement.
I also asked, even though we are showing that we're up a little bit from budget on enrollment, also that adjustment does not come in these first 4 months. Am I correct?
That's correct. We won't see the benefit of that until January. Our ASB fund. This is our financial summary for our ASB fund. And you will see that it has a very nice trend line. I think this is where we see the impact of the fundraisers that our student board members spoke of. Our debt service fund does not see a lot of activity until a bond has been passed. Here is our financial summary. The 5-year trend, there's again very little movement. It's just returns on investment at this point. Transportation vehicle fund to fund transportation equipment. Our financial summary. Again, we are watching the depreciation schedule for on this fund, looking to possibly purchase buses. The 5-year trend. And our capital project fund, used to account for resources set aside for the acquisition of land, construction of major capital assets, purchase of equipment, capital improvements, and critical repairs. Here's our financial summary for the capital projects fund. And last year was a very active year in the capital projects. In fact, I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to look at the beautiful Kaleidoscope magazine today, but in that magazine, it outlines a lot of the projects that we've been working on. So we've been very busy and we have more exciting projects ahead of us. And that is it. Questions?
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Don't have any questions.
All right. Superintendent report.
Well, as Victoria just spoke to you about, you do have the newest edition of Kaleidoscope magazine sitting at your place. This was just released today, and we're very excited to feature our own kindergartner out of Gray Wolf Elementary and celebrate the class of 2037, which is sitting in our kindergarten seats. As you do look through the magazine, you will see that we do have the capital levy page where we are updating all of our community members about what has progressed. And if you look on that page, you'll see that we have very few remaining items in progress because so much has been completed. Right down to this weekend, we had cranes on site to lift the remaining units onto the roofs for HVAC at the high school. So just kudos to our facilities department and our local contractors who have been assisting us because the work has progressed very well. And guess what we've just landed at? Heating season. This is perfect. Okay, so thank you, of course, to Megan Like for getting this put together and for really working with so many different employees, student groups, clubs, to make sure we're celebrating all that our students and staff are doing out in the buildings. Okay, beyond that, we have been making presentations around the community. Today, we did have a spot on KSQM at 1 o'clock to speak to the community about long-range facilities planning, and we featured Chris White, who is a parent member of the long-range facilities planning group. We also had the first presentation to students today in Mrs. Pozernik's civics class this morning. So we certainly appreciate getting out to the students and really hearing from them and seeing their reactions to these plans that we're trying to pull together. So we'll continue to work with our student board reps to make sure we're getting student voice in these projects as decisions move forward. I will say that the schedule will continue and we will be getting out to some local HOAs, going out to the Jamestown Tribe, the Rotary, Seroptimist Club, and make sure that if there are any clubs that you become aware of that would appreciate a visit, that it's done. We were out at Mason's last week, and that was really just an exciting time for another reason I'll share, but also just to hear perspectives from the community who may not have children in our schools directly, but still want to support them. We are continuing with the podcasts. We have 3 podcasts out now, and we will be doing a 4th here next week. But I would implore everyone out there to consider filling out our survey for the long-range facility planning options that are on the table. Our survey can be taken through a QR code, but also through a link if people need that. And we really do want all of that input. We have 440 responses as of today, and we would love to break 500 and then move toward 1,000. We would find that to be especially helpful. So we want to keep the pedal to the metal there. At the meeting with the Masons, Mrs. Ramponi did come to the meeting and give her first donation toward the $1 million. And we have received a check for $500,000 that we have deposited. This deposit is going to allow us to go ahead and start the exploration of site evaluation, design components, initial engineering. And we just thank her so much for this dedication to our community and school and students. So I can't wait for students to get to meet Mrs. Ramponi, because they certainly will find her energy infectious, and she will find theirs the same. I know it. I'd like to let you know that the Hopes and Dreams fundraiser for SQUIM Education Foundation will occur this Saturday evening, and I know some of us will certainly be attending. Folks out there can still buy tickets for this event at the Guy Cole Center. It's going to be a catered dinner, and the caterer is going to be the Goat and Radish local business, and tickets are $60. The event goes from 5 to 8 p.m. and we hope that many people come out to support SEF. They certainly have supported the school and teachers, and we have been talking to teachers and students about what they feel about these efforts from SEF, and we'll be able to give a tribute from them at this. I wanted to let you know that the strategic plan is starting to take greater shape. We have pulled all of the input now from educators, and we have gone ahead and been able to find the priorities that different groups had. So we will be bringing that to the board in early December. Make sure you know what the next phase will look like and how we get those objectives fired up. I will say the good news is that much of the priority, I'll just say, lies around student behavior and making sure that we really are prioritizing how to best address that and teach for that. And many of the things we're doing already are items that I would think teachers would want to be objectives, and we'll continue with that work and highlight the things that they've brought to our attention. Tonight, we would also like to let folks know that parent-teacher conferences will occur on October 30th and 31st, and that scheduling has been in the works. So if you don't have a scheduled time yet, please feel like you can go to your school and make sure you get the time that works for you. We really do want to encourage folks to be out talking with teachers. I'm not sure if you know this, but this week is National School Bus Safety Week. So we will be putting out tributes and posts to support our bus drivers. They are absolutely the first resources that our students see when they get on in the morning and the last that they see in the evening. And we've already had a couple events this year where school drivers have been critical to students feeling safe and cared for. And I just can't say enough about the safety and efficiency of how they're bringing our kids to school, not to mention caring. Speaking of school bus riding, Smart Tag is deployed fully in our school district, but we have not opened the parent portal and app, and that will be occurring in November. So we are working with Smart Tag to release a special QR code link for Smart Tag, and parents will be able to go in and monitor and communicate about their student's account. So we'll look forward to that in the coming weeks. I'd like to let you know a little about family and community engagement. It is a priority in the state of Washington right now. And so we have made great strides here in our school district of getting systems set up so that we have very engaged ways to make sure that we're getting the right amount of community engagement, tracking what we're doing, really thinking about that. And one of the things we've put a lot of effort into is volunteer reach out. We're up to 440 volunteers, 434, excuse me, volunteers who are signed up with our school system. And I think that is simply tremendous. Just in the past 3 weeks, we've had field trips go that have brought in over 100 different volunteers alone for that. So I just encourage people, if they're interested, to sign on with us. And then to let you know that as we go into the next board meeting, we will be talking more about our educational program levy. We call that EP&O. And it will be very important that we're talking about what level we do want to come back and ask of the community to support us. We've had wonderful support from our community for our educational program levies, but we want to be sure that we are addressing the needs we have, especially considering the reductions and the cuts that we've had to make over the last 2 years, and be set up for success as we move ahead. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions?
I'd like to, maybe Tracy's the one to ask it, put in my application to be the graduation speaker at the 2037 graduation. I'll be 90, and at that speech, I will announce my retirement from the school board.
Well, she'll be there with you.
Yeah, good. We'll give student speaker, retiring board member speaker.
Okay.
I have my doubts. I don't think you'll look a day over 60 even, but we'll see.
I got some anti-aging to do before then.
All right, let's see, I believe next is CSIP.
So as we move into November, we do have our secondary administrators and OPA who will be coming to have a study session regarding continuous school improvement planning and achievement report out to you. So November 13th at 5:30 is the time that we've isolated for that. So if we could have that on your calendar. Also, I've determined from you that the format we've been using for the study session is one that is working well for you, and it's deep enough for you to get the information you need. So we will be continuing that format, and you will be able to speak to each of the administrators the same way.
All right. Does that work for everybody? The time for that? All right, okay. Okay. I believe that brings us to a close. So we will go ahead, 6:55. We'll adjourn for the evening.